At times Tuesday, Avery Johnson winced. It was the kind of anguished look worn by a coach suffering through the growing pains of a young team still trying to find itself. The Tide won Tuesday, pulling out an 80-79 victory over Mercer in the Rocket Classic in Huntsville. But along the way, Alabama created plenty of stress for its leader. As the Tide cobbled together its 8th win in 11 games, the animated Johnson watched his team make only one of 16 three-point shots in the first half, causing him to say, "We're very, very lazy offensively." Quote, he saw Alabama commit 21 fouls in 40 minutes, bringing to the fore another one of Johnson's chief complaints, this one about his team's tendency to be too aggressive. Then, in the game's final act, Johnson witnessed a near-catastrophic meltdown that nearly sent him over the edge. Up by 6 points with 11 seconds to go, the Tide managed to commit 3 turnovers and came within mere inches of losing the game, when Mercer's Ryan Hollins three-pointer clanged off the rim as the final buzzer sounded. "We just got to be smarter," said freshman John Petty, a native of Huntsville, who finished with 18 points. Johnson rued how the last minute played out, noting it was another example of a team that doesn't have a wealth of experience to draw on that can help it better navigate a dicey situation like that flirtation with disaster. Yet Johnson is also conflicted about where the Tide stands. He believes Alabama should have resolved some of these issues by now. Earlier this week, in practice, he delivered a pointed message to the team. "No excuses," he said. "You got to figure it out. I told Braxton, the rest of the team, it's go time now." Single quote. Yet with Key back in the lineup for the first time this year, the Tide looked like a disjointed team during different segments of the game Tuesday. Key, who was coming back from the knee surgery he underwent last month, struggled. He contributed no points and had 3 turnovers, throwing a series of errant passes to teammates he thought were headed one direction but ultimately cut the opposite way. Key was pulled back to the bench with roughly 10 minutes left in regulation, when Alabama trailed by 6 points and was weathering a surge by the Bears. Not long before, Johnson inserted freshman Alex Reese into the game. The 6'9" freshman proved to be a spark plug, helping ignite a run that catapulted Alabama back into the lead 3 minutes after Key left the floor. "If we had to give the game ball," Johnson said, "we'd give it to Alex Reese." Quote, Johnson probably never thought he'd utter those words after Reese didn't even play in Alabama's last contest, a loss to Arizona. But then Mercer pushed the Tide further than Johnson could have imagined, forcing him to search high and low for a way out of the quagmire that developed Tuesday. He mixed and matched players, hoping for the right combination. 10 members of the Tide saw action and only 2 of them played less than 9 minutes. Johnson explained later that he would prefer to have an established rotation, but 11 games into the season he is still tinkering. "It's always a new lineup in practice," Petty said. "Coach is trying this, trying that. We're getting the hang of each other." Quote, to put it succinctly, Reese said, "The Tide is aiming to get the chemistry back right." Quote, "Until it does, Johnson is sure to experience more bouts of frustration as he attempts to coax a young team to play with more cohesiveness and consistency. We kind of already know where we are," Johnson insisted in an attempt to spin the conversation in a positive direction. But the expression on his face and the tone of his voice in Tuesday's post-game news conference suggested otherwise. Rainer Sabin is an Alabama beat writer for the Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at RainerSabin.